How's everybody doing? Happy Thursday, March 4th, 14, 2022. So, just trying to get motivated today. Let's see. Share my screen. So, Elon Musk is talking about Twitter. He also has another company called Neuralink. It's been in existence since 2016. So, just going to talk a little bit about that. Once again, for people who know me or come here, Professor Black Ops, I actually taught for 10 years. I'm actually been in cybersecurity for 15 and IT for 30. If you got any cybersecurity questions, just throw them in the box. We're going to get started here shortly. Just get a little time to let people fall in. Glad tomorrow's Friday. I am struggling. I appreciate that first gen corporate. What's going on, man? Glad you can make it. What's happening? Can we talk about Neuralink? I'm gonna start calling it, put some respect on Elon Musk's name since they talk about he might buy Twitter, not just sit on the board. He might buy Twitter, so we're just gonna chop it up. About Neuralink, I think it's a different concept. I'm kind of excited about it. Hopefully you're having a great day. Like I said, I'm taking a little quick break. I'm gonna get back to work, but we're gonna chop it up. Once again, if you got any cybersecurity questions, once again we're gonna talk about Neuralink, which is basically um, a brain interface. Basically, they put a chip in your mind, and you can interface with games and other devices that are technology, which is it's not a unique concept. They've been actually talking about that forever. But once again, Elon Musk is doing a little more than talking. So let's go on and chop it up about it. I'm sure we go back and forth. So what is Neuralink? That's a picture of it. They put actually chip in your brain that register your thoughts and interfaces that with technology and other um, various computer devices. Of course, we've been seeing that on movies forever, but once again, Elon's taking it to the next step and gonna make it happen in real life. So what are the positive and negatives about that? And so, just some high level. The weird thing is, I used to do artificial intelligence a little bit when I was in college, but that was in 1990. So the computer systems were so slow, you never really thought that you could get to this level. But I mean, for those of you who know Moore's law, right? It's a matter of time. Computer power doubles every 18 months, gets faster. Obviously, that's slowing down a little bit, but power computers is it. So there are 86 billion neurons in your brain. Neuron sends and receives information. Although there are many different types of neurons, there generally are three parts: dendrite, which receives the signal; soma, which is a cell body which computes the signal; and axon, which sends a signal. Right? Neurons are neurons are connected through synapses. The neurons of your brain connect to each other and send and receive signals, axon and dendrite. But technology wise, we've been, like I said, once we've been talking about the neural net. I mean, for since the '60s, right? But of course, this is taking it to the next level. Oh, that's who I needed in the house. Got so many uses, applications, medical. Yep, we're gonna get to that engineering cannabis. Don't jump ahead. Now I'm just playing. Shout out to engineering cannabis. Glad he joined us. Let me highlight these while I'm talking about. Shout out to First Gen for the super chat. Shout out to Wally. Shout out to Engineering Cannabis. Yeah, but we're going to talk about the medical applications, the robotics, automation. Of course, I added a little, when you do stuff like this, there's always a military component, right? What can we do with sir? Then, even beyond that, right? Can you if you controlling people, can you make them smarter? Can you make them help them, read stuff, understand stuff, get insight stuff? Since it's in your brain and doing it, can you make certain parts of your brain once again speed up, light up, work more effectively? Right. So we'll chat a little bit about that, right? Neurons communicate actions, potentially cause synapses, neurotransmitters. These are small molecules bound to receptors. When neurons receive the right combination of spatial, temporal, synaptic input, it initiates an action potential. All facts, engineering cannabis, you are correct. We place electrodes near neurons in order to detect potential. Recordings from neuron allows the use to decode information represented by those cells, movement related to areas in the brain. It's intended movement. There are neurons in the brain that carry information about everything we see, feel, touch, or think. Right now, we're talking about the Minority Report. Right, we're gonna predict your crimes in the future before you do it. Right, because we're gonna know your pattern. Right. So, like you said, endless. So Neuralink. This is from their website. Designing the first neural implant that will let you control a computer or mobile device anywhere you go. Micron scale threads are inserted in the area of your brain that control that movement. Each thread contains many electrodes and connect them to an implant, and that's the link, right? So that's the picture of it. It's super small. That's what they want to put in your brain. That ribbon, I'm calling it a ribbon because that's what it looks like in your computer. That ribbon right there, right, goes out into your brain to those areas they're talking about, what they're keeping track of, right? So Neuralink, a sealed implant device that process and stimulates and transmit neural signals. Neural threads, each small and flexible thread contain many electrodes for detecting your neural signal. The charger, compact inductive charger, wirelessly connects to the implant to charge the battery from the outside, right? There's a battery in your brain, right? You got to charge it, that's going to run out. So how do you do that? Now with the event, now everybody's got the wireless chargers for their phone. You lay it on the device, right? So now you can do that remotely. So you don't have to worry about the charger. So they were hooking a Neuralink app would allow you to control your iOS device, keyboard, and mouse directly with the activity in your brain just by thinking of it, right? So they got a phone app. So when you get it in there, being controlled, the Neuralink app would guide you through the exercise that teach you to control your device. Be autonomous with Bluetooth connections. You could control any mouse or keyboard or experience reality mediated and in high fidelity, right? Of course, they're talking about games, but like engineering cannabis says, there's just so many more application. True. The Neuralink is like any medical device, like a pacemaker, hearing aid, the device aid in medical applications. Yeah, and I think that's the first one they're going for, engineering cannabis correctly. And we'll talk about that. If you paralyzed or you got brain damage, this device can help you overcome that or use your brain to move the limbs and robotics for you, right? So that's hopefully the futuristic of that app, right? So Neuralink is building a fully integrated brain computer interface system, BCI. Sometimes you see this called a brain computer interface. Either way, BMIs are technologies that enable a computer or otherwise digital device to communicate directly with the brain. For example, information read out from the brain, a person with paralyzed can control a computer, mouse, or keyboard, or information can be written back into the brain, for example, to restore the sense of touch. A goal is to build a system with at least 2 orders of magnitude more of communication channel than clinically approved devices. This system needs to be safe. It must have fully wireless communication through the skin and has to be ready for people to take home and use on their own. Our device called the Link will be able to record 1,024 electrodes and is designed to meet those criteria, right? Most people know I'm a computer security. So we're going to talk about what if you hack that device in their brain, right? What can you do? And is that up? Shout out to Destination Dad. Go check him out. He's I know he's still getting us YouTube on, so go check him out. So that's some things we're going to talk about from an ethical standpoint, hackers. I think some things should be off by the hacking community, but we know that's not true, right? People trying to make money, and the way is to hack somebody's brain and take it over, right? I'm sure they'll pay for that to get that back, right? So we got to make sure that's in. So the direct link between the brain and everyday technology. The initial goal of the technology will be to help people with paralysis to regain independence through the control of computers and mobile devices. Our devices are designed to give people the ability to communicate more easily via text or speech synthesis and follow their curiosity on the web or express their creativity through photography, art, or writing apps, right? So if you can do stuff with your brain, even though you couldn't move your hands or anything else, right, you would be able to move a chair remotely, speech. You could type the words out on speech and just have it. If you had a voice box and you couldn't talk, right? Once again, shout out to Engineering Canada. There's just a myriad of things I'm sure they can work on. Do you think they would 802 wireless? I think they would start off with that. I think if I was actually looking for that JM, but right before this, and I couldn't figure out. I would assume they wanted one of those 802. No, Elon Musk though, he's probably gonna do the 802.35 or something and put some extra security on top of it. But yeah, that's the standard wireless JM. So I would assume they would start off with the that would be the basis of the communication for wireless. The link is a starting point for a new kind of brain interface. As the technology develops, we will be able to increase the channels of communication with the brain, access more brain areas, new kind of neural information. The technology has the potential to treat a wide range of neurological disorders, to restore sensory and movement function, and eventually to expand how we interact with each other, with the world, and with ourselves. Right. So once again, shout out to Elon. Everybody's talking about Twitter, but he's doing much bigger things and much bigger plans. But like once again, engineering cannabis, the application, especially from a medical perspective, is just so far reaching, right? And I think we're just touching the surface of it, right? So once again, shout out to Elon Musk. He's doing something different, you know. So that's the machine right there. I got off their website. Shout out to We Need Justice Now, hashtag men too. Glad you can join me. So this is a machine. They think I think it's almost this. They can almost make this an outpatient surgery. This robotic surgical device would actually may I, of course, I appreciate that. You can share it definitely. So this is device would actually you would go in. They said in 30 minutes it would put it in your brain. They stitch you back up. It's a robotic surgery. Shout out to Todd. It's a surgical device that would actually put that into your brain. He wants to make it an outpatient. When you come in a couple hours, you get your implant and you out of there, right? So precision automated surgery. Threads of the link are so fine and flexible that they can be inserted by a human hand. Instead, we're building a robotic system that a neurosurgeon can use to reliably and efficiently insert these threads exactly where they need to be. And so that's why you want to do it. Robotics, I'm sure they kind of got you kind of face down so you don't move a lot, and you get your chip, you be on your way, right? And we'll talk about through the efficacy of that, the ethical things of that, and what would that be in the future? A couple world-renowned neurosurgeons doesn't think Neuralink would be successful. But I mean, a lot of people didn't think he would take a rocket up in the air and then come back and land it on a boat, right? A lot of people don't realize Elon Musk, SpaceX, he does a lot. He has a lot of technical things. So of course, the first thing we do is we put it in a pig, right? We doing a testing, medical testing. You're gonna put it in a pig and check it out, right? So let's see. The purchase tutor will gain full access to the data sets, the user-free machine and deliver. Oh, that's true. I think Elon Musk has access to a lot of data already. People don't realize the guy that owned LinkedIn, they actually started PayPal together. So I think he has a lot of data sets. But you are correct. I think Twitter probably is a better testing bed for those machine learning. Twitter to me is just so toxic sometimes. So that's why I'm pausing a little bit. We need justice. Twitter just be so toxic. So Neuralink's context is an artificial neuron. With this, we can map the brain, access parts of the brain that are dormant, and I call this the evolution through tech. Now that's true because a lot of people say we don't use our full brain capacity. So is there stuff he can light up, or if something's not working, can he make another part of our brain disaster recovery? Where if you're at a spine injury, or a brain injury, could he copy that part to another part of your brain that's not in use? Right. So that's once again engineering. That's an excellent statement, right? So, well, but once again, shout out to Elon Musk. He's handling some of the big issues. I won't say a problem. So I guess you could call them problem. One of the big things that he goes after those big problems, those big society problems, right? So let's talk about Gertrude real quick. The demonstration was a proof of concept that showed how the chip was able to accurately predict the positioning of Gertrude's limbs when she was walking on a treadmill, as well as recurrent neural activity uh, when the pigs snuffled up about for food. Musk said the pig has been living with the chip for approximately 2 months, right? So the first thing you do for medical stuff, right? You test it on animals, rats, pigs. Then the next slide, right? We're going to show you the monkey, right? So they're in trials. They're testing it out. They're taking a lot of different studies in this area and packaging up nice in the Neuralink. Right? When in my data science training, some of my classmates request data sets from Twitter. Oh, that's cool. I guess I didn't know you could request data sets from Twitter. Um, so Elon Musk implanted the neural plant, which has aims to enable brains to connect and communicate with computers. As acknowledged, this monkey died as part of the testing procedure. The mouse monkey has been used and tested by Neuralink as the company has been developing a Bluetooth-enabled implantable chips inserted into the monkey's brain that the company said communicated with computers via a small receiver. The Neuralink claimed the monkey can play Pong, a computer game was when I was young. That was one of the first games, moving the cursor on screen without having a joystick or doing so. So that was the monkey. If you look, he's playing Pong. I don't know if I don't know if the electrodes make the monkey pass with some other conditions, but that's what you do when you test medical devices. I actually used to work for Fortune 500 pharmaceutical companies, and they do tests on animals, right? They try to make it ethical, but you got to test them before you put them in humans. And so that was the play. So the monkey just passed away, but it was actually playing Pong on the computer using this brain interface. He's going to be in possession of information like P places and things. Oh yeah, but Facebook's got a lot of that. Instagram's got a lot of that. Google got a ton of that. So, what's Peter Thiel's company? Palantir. A lot of people don't realize Palantir is actually getting your information from credit cards companies and other buying companies. It's a government kind of secret security company. One of the PayPal mafia. He used to work with Elon Musk at PayPal, and they all kind of walked away with $1 billion, and they split it up, right? So there's a lot of people out there with a lot of data that people are not aware of. Shout out! I might do Palantir. They do a lot of government secret stuff, and a lot of people are not familiar with Palantir. That's owned by Peter Thiel, that was part of that PayPal mafia. They all split up and built even bigger companies. So once again, they're testing it in monkeys. They're getting it through them because there's a lot of people with brain trauma, paralyzed, can't speak. Where I think this technology, just as a base technology, if you could just, if you can talk and you could use that to speak for you, voice box, so you wouldn't have to physically type or, so that would be a great leap, I think, forward in that. I'll shout out. You correct. Blue Jack flags, blue snarfing, blue jacking. I would be concerned if they plenty. Yeah, you're correct, JM. Each one of those Bluetooth hijacks, it has mitigation if you do encryption correctly, if you do pairing correctly. But you are correct. There is a lot of security vulnerabilities with straight Bluetooth out the box. You're 100%. We would have to go through and make sure we lock that down, JM. Good shout out to you though. I like that. Throwing out the terms and we could be in trouble. No, but you're correct. So you wouldn't want them to lock that down, do the pairing, do the encryption between those two devices. Make sure it only can pair with a couple other devices, right? And kind of lock that down. But you are 100% correct, James. There's a lot of hacking in the in the Bluetooth world. I was gonna do a Raspberry and leave it by the grocery store and see if I could steal RFID shortwave because a lot of that's in Bluetooth. So we go to RFID. If I created a Raspberry and put it underneath the register, could I steal everybody's credit card, JM? We might need to make that a project, man, and see if we could do that. Let me do this. This disclaimer is we're not stealing anything. We're not giving medical advice. We're not giving financial advice. We're not giving relationship advice. We're just giving a little computer advice. Shout out to us. But let's see. When people complain about their wealth, it's because people are putting their whole lives online. Don't get mad when they get rich. No, that is true. So the next thing about that too is, and you're 100% true, is should we be able to control identity on the blockchain? And when people use identity, should we be able to get a couple pennies and nickels so we can get paid to use our identity? You're right, information. But I always push back on people, like you said. That's what you get when you pay nothing for Facebook, right? So I tell people, don't complain about Facebook because you don't pay them zero. When you pay people things, then you can put demands on what they could do with your information. If you don't pay people, that's how they make money with your information. So people think Facebook is free. It's not free. You paying what my man said right here. You paying with your online information. I call it your digital dossier. Then they can run scenarios on you. If you this and that and this type of person, what's your income rate? Are you when you check in, what type of restaurants are you going through? I could send straight ads for you that can usually tell you your political background and everything and how you move. So that's definitely true. People for that is facts, Ty. That is facts. What's up, broke genius? Glad you can make it. Just talking about my man Elon Musk. We taking a little bit from Twitter, but once again, my man put the Neuralink in the monkey. The monkey passed away. I don't know if it's because the Neuralink or something else, but once again, he was playing Pong, which I thought was a killer game, and I think probably 81. That's one of the first computer games out there. So shout out to them. So now this is some of the things I think they're trying to solve. Oh, okay. Sorry. I don't think I'm a female. I apologize. We need justice now. I should be able to tell. Glad you could join me. I apologize. So, like Engineering Cannabis said, they're going to start more with the medical field for this, right? In near term, a chip in someone's brain could help treat neurological disorder such as Parkinson's. That's huge. I've had a couple family members of mine had Parkinson's. Had Parkinson. That's just really a horrible disease, and along with Alzheimer, which is right behind those two together, improved neural interface technology could help better studies and treat severe neurological conditions such as Parkinson and Alzheimer's. Right. So I think that alone makes this, a killer device, right? You always figure out, okay, what problems is that device trying to solve? If it could take any dent in any of these two, right? It's a $1 billion app, right? Neuralink hinted its chips. The first real world application will be giving quadriplegic people the ability to control phones and laptops. Autism is classified as a development disorder, not a disease, and the World Health Organization describes schizophrenia as it, right. So you got Parkinson's, Alzheimer's, autism, and schizophrenia as possible killer apps for Neuralink, right? I'm sure other people working on it. and there's drugs in there, right? But if this could assist them to communicate and light up different parts of their brains, or keep the parts that, they said that some of it looks like plaque, um, to make that not happen, right? Or even just slow it down, right? It's a killer app, right? Let's see anything in there. Once again, most people know if you got computer security questions, just throw it in the box. I've been doing tech for 30 plus years. I've been doing computer security for about 15. I talk computer security for about 10. So if you got any specific questions, shout out to my man with the JM talking about the blue jacking and the blue snarfing for the Bluetooth hacks. Elon Musk Neuralink chip could be used to meld human consciousness with artificial intelligence, though experts are skeptical of this, right? So now what's up, CL? Glad CL's in there. I appreciate that. So once again, Elon Musk jumping to the next level. Now he's going to control your consciousness and maybe put that actually in a computer, right? Then you could live forever, right? Because your thoughts and patterns become how the computer becomes sentient, right? Singularity, right? Thinking, right? Although Musk has touted the near-term application of Neuralink, he often links the companies with his fears of by artificial intelligence. Musk has said that he thinks humanity will be able to achieve symbiosis with artificial intelligence using technology developed by Neuralink. Artificial Intelligence podcast was in 2019, intended to address the existential risk association with digital superintelligence, right? So, in all the movies, right, the the robots get smart and kill us, right? Because we're the virus. How the metaverse went. I was gonna get to that, JM. You jumping forward now. Shout out to Jay. I'm gonna get to that. You correct. How the metaverse is going? We're gonna be able to use. I'm linking this with the metaverse, and that's gonna be the extension of the metaverse, right? So the metaverse right now, we just VR in it, right? So we got some controllers in our hand, but the next ultimate step of that, JM, I think we'll chop a little bit that up in the ending is you don't need the controller. You're in virtual reality moving with your mental powers, right? You're moving with your mind. You're floating in the air. You're going in the sea, right? Or me and you thinking with our interfaces, right, at such a quick level, right? I think that would be the next level of that, Jay. But we're gonna chop a little bit about that in. True, I think this is the extension of the metaverse, right? From controllers, VR to now in the VR, we're just using our mind as the controllers. We're thinking fast, right? And the question is, how quick are you moving, right? How quick are you thinking, right? Are you in 2-dimensional, 3-dimensional, 20-dimensional, right? If you can think fast enough, right? Then when you play people in let's just be video games, if you're smarter than somebody, right? Are you thinking quicker? So will that show up in the video game as you being more agile or superior in a video game? Because now you're thinking. But in the real world, right? I'm chunky and fat. I can't run like I used to, but can I think quicker, right? And at the end, we're about to jump into some military applications for that, right? So, the military is always jumping in, right? So, but once again, Elon Musk thinking the symbiosis, putting those two together, right? As the super soldier, and I got a couple pictures of that we can break down about that. So like my man JM was talking about, I should have put those particular hacks in there. This came from his website. We understand medical devices needs to be secure. It takes serious engineering to prevent unwanted access to such devices. Security will be a blueprint in every layer of the product, using strong cryptography, defensive engineering, and extensive security auditing, right? Tracking who's in there, tracking who's controlling it, right? Right. So he already knows that, cybersecurity's got to be at the top notch, right? And JM, Blue Jacket and Bruce Snarfing, they're starting off with a Bluetooth communications, right? Those are some of the common attacks for that, right? And two, like my man I'm sorry, I keep saying my man, my favorite female who just joined us. we were talking about data. I forgot who was talking about the Twitter data. I'm so tired. Um, all that's going to be in the cloud. Data storage. They're creating their own cloud. They probably use the cloud, right? What does that cloud, look like? Musk business case for neural projects. It would have the launch with the capability included for popular smartphone platforms, Apple, Google, Android. The question becomes, what application and website will be authorized to use your Neuralink data? We were just talking about what is that data, right? How do you control the data? Who owns the data? Do you own the data? Do they own the data? Okay, I thought that was you. Um, who owns the data? Who controls the data? So that's one of the questions, right? Who's authorized to use this? Who uses the data? We just talked about that, right? So, what could would be a good? Oh, facts. We're gonna need some big time encryption, right? For that, right? Oh, facts. I love that movie, right? Transcendence, right? It's been a couple of them. I like that because he was good, Peter, and he was bad and he turned good at the end. But shout out to Transcendence, right? So I think that's kind of what Musk is talking about when he's talking about uploading your consciousness and your brain and mapping your brain, right? Then when we did that, what happened, Peter? He took over the whole planet, right? His brain it became the whole internet, right? So that's the stuff we got to be careful of, right? So once again, what application or website would be authorized to use Neuralink's data? But remember, Neuralink's data is the data they got from your brain, right? So we got to be careful with that. So who owns that, right? Do you get a discount because they're selling your data, right? Do you get authorization of who get to see your data? The question of data sharing will surely complicate the cybersecurity situation of Neuralink project. A third-party application is granted access to the back-end brain data. It becomes tricky to track exactly what information is staying on your device and what information is being to the app's vendor, right? So how does that work and who controls it? And two, on that from a medical perspective, if I look at your brain data and I know you're schizophrenic or you have some future brain disorder, could that stop you from getting a job, right? Was that information private, like HIPAA? It should be, right? People could use that information when they see certain. You're prone to Parkinson's, right? You could be hard for you to get an insurance policy, right, for certain things, right? I like that. I like that. My man, would the call center style help desk be considered? Yeah, most definitely. Would call center style help desk? Yeah, that's the first step in the help desk because they asking all the basic IT questions. I think having people reboot their machine because they don't know what they're doing, most definitely. Oh, most definitely. Yeah, yeah. That's definitely part of IT. Where would you put that under, Ty, if you wouldn't put it under IT? Business operation? No, that's definitely IT. Because I tell you why. Long story short, I used to work for DOD. I went to a state vendor. I actually implemented 14 character passwords, two upper, two lower, two special character. You get 3 tries and it's locked. You have to call the help desk to get them to unlock their computer. That caused a 4,000% rise in help desk calls. We got the bill for that, so that's definitely part of IT because we got an IT bill for that, Ty. So I'm 100% sure the IT bill went up 4,000% because old people were locking their accounts out. So yes, that's us. The application area of human psychology to predict and pinpoint mass murders and other. No, that's true. I think once again we get into the Minority Report, right? Can they predict it? A lot of that too is it goes along, like you said, with your background and how you growing up and with trauma and all that gets imprinted on your brain. So some people don't tell them to come see me, Ty. I got 30 years in the game. Give them that scenario. I locked everybody out, and when they call the help desk got a bill for because it went up 4,000%. So when help desk gets a whole bunch of calls by stuff IT does, IT gets the bill, Ty. So I'm 100% sure. Tell them come see me. IT got that bill, so I think that It's like using Professor X. I love X-Men, man. I got about $2,000 with the X-Men comic books. Shout out to me. I was X-Men. That's one reason how I got in computers. I don't want to tell people I'm super nerd. One reason I got a computer is for people who are, I'm probably the oldest person on there. I tell a big, yeah, facts. Super Friends comic books. It was the original ones, cartoon in the morning. They had a supercomputer. Batman has a supercomputer. Cerebro, part of X-Men. A lot of big comic books. Mr. Terrific. A lot of people don't know that black characters. He flying on balls at a supercomputer. I got into technology from watching comic books and cartoons, and everybody had a supercomputer. Then that's probably let's see, 1982. I decided I want to be a programmer. In 1984, I was at in high school at a technology fair writing programs. I was in a special program at junior high school in 1984. I was doing COBOL, RPG, PL1. Most of those don't exist anymore. But yeah, that's the reason I got into programming for those comic books. I was trying to make Cerebro in 1990. I was trying to create Cerebro. But now shout out to me. But now that's one reason I got into computers, and I just became ever since then. When I was became a freshman, I found out DBAs made about 70,000. I was like, I'm gonna become a DBA, a database administrator. So my career took off ever since then. But shout out to all the people with supercomputers, but that got me in the game. But yeah, once again, when he starts giving those our data, our brain data, even to third-party apps, what's the security? What's the compliance? What's the legal tied to us? Do we still have control of it? Once again, is it our data or is it Neuralink? It's going to be Neuralink's data, I promise you. When it's said and done, it's going to be Neuralink's data, right? That's going to be next. Elon Musk's next billion-dollar move. He's going to take your data and sell it. In security, that's why learning cryptography is important. Know how to utilize symmetric and asymmetrical algorithms to protect that. Engineering cannabis is 100% correct. It's funny saying that. I was doing a lab today on AWS using their KMS key wallet. I was doing asymmetrical and asymmetrical keys. So when I send out bank files, I can make sure they're encrypted with my private key. So when I send it to them, they use my public key, send it to me over encryption. So it's going to be encrypted in transit, and the actual bank file is going to be encrypted. So if somebody can see it and they take it, they still going to need two keys to see it in root or to be able to unlock it. So I was actually doing a KMS in AWS, working on my cloud skills for my next 10 years before I retire. Let's see, my man. Shout out to First Gen for the $10 super chat. Oh, facts. That's past gold. We got to call it titanium or something more expensive. First Gen. You are correct. That's on a whole nother level, because now when you take that data, you can use, once again, I used to work at a Fortune 500 pharmaceutical companies. When you get that data, you can start looking for drugs and stuff, because now you can run drug formulas in virtual reality. Shout out to engineering using machine learning, artificial intelligence to figure out technically if you think it's going to work before you actually make those chemicals to verify if it works, right? They run a lot of drug simulations just in IT, right? Just to say, we believe these compounds would work on these certain things this certain way, right? And if they start getting hits, right, they're going to start mixing those compounds to see if it's true. But a lot of that stuff they're doing technology-wise, right? So you are 100% correct. I'm trying to think something more expensive than gold, First Gen, but you are correct. Salute to Mr. Awesome for joining. Like my man was talking about, JM, vulnerability in wireless technologies. Whenever a new piece of technology hits the market, whether software or hardware, hacker sees an opportunity for destruction. Once again, you would think they would leave a few things alone, but they would seek out ways to exploit vulnerabilities in the products and hope to either making money from it or just causing frustrations for the company behind it. The same scenario will be expected for Elon Musk and Neuralink. Potential for brain control technology is incredibly vast, but relies on existing forms of wireless communication. All signs point to Neuralink using Bluetooth to interface between the implanted chip and the outside device, just like a wireless keyboard and headphones. Once again, JM put that in there. Blue jacking and blue snarfing is one of the TPT ways you can actually attack a Bluetooth device. Bluetooth is considered to be secured protocol because of its pairing system and short range receivers. However, no blue charges can be spread via Bluetooth and used to steal data from Android devices. This suggests a potential risk with Neuralink being susceptible to malware and could be spread through Bluetooth, right? We talked about that and chopped that up, right? So the cool thing is, known attack vector, not something new. There's a lot of specific ways to lock it down to block both of those, right? So that's the good thing about it, right? I did a video and actually put the link at the bottom of medical devices getting hacked and the bugs that were getting hacked. People were hacking insulin pumps and people because they're wireless, but they didn't lock them down like JM said, right? So I did a video of that, so we know those hacks on these wireless devices are out there in the wild already, right? Once again, JM gave a shout out to that. Wireless implantable medical devices, deep brain neural stimulators, gastric simulators, foot drop implants, cochlear hearing implants, cardiac defibrillator slash pacemaker, and insulin pumps are some of the many devices, right, that are being hacked from that. Once again, I put the link in there if you're bored, check it out. But once again, known devices that are being hacked in a while. I think I did that I think 2 months ago. So we out there talking about it. Algorithms for drug formulation, AlphaG perform potent synthetic best for the disease. The C19 inoculation utilize machine learning. Facts, like we was just saying, right? To the gas pump. Facts. So so yeah, so like engineering cannabis said, they're already doing that, right? So when you get that gold data, first gen talks about that's more ways of things you can looking at. You can make simulations, machine learning, artificial to take that data and kind of figure out what drugs will work best on it. Facts. I did a video on that where somebody hacked the gas pumps, and I think they said the gas owner, he was closed at night. 50 people pulled up and got free gas. Shout out to us. No, Robin Hood, still from but so yeah, so that like first Jen said, that's gold, right? Medical data's gold. It's going to be real time, right from your brain. So as they give you stuff or start giving stuff to the 8 monkey or pig, right, you can see exactly what's happening to the brain from those neurological disorder diseases, right? It's not like you have to look or take. You have electrodes on the brain so you can see it healing or going left or spiking, right? You have all that quick data right there when you start doing that those particular type testing. Right? So now let's just touch a little bit on the military. Anything we do, right? Can you stop a person from feeling pain, right? If you all up in their brain, can you cut out the pain? Can you physically make them stronger, right? Because a lot of times you're strong, you just don't want to feel the pain of that. If you cut off somebody's pain resistors, right, you're gonna be stronger because you're not in pain, right? So those are some of the military. So technology progressed in neural technology in its military proceeding as early as 1970. Brain interfaces have been the subject of studies, right? So we're talking about the 70s, people were looking at it, right? What's up, Wally? Salute. So human studies essential to the responsible use of military neural technology. The military importance of AI connected brain machine interface is growing. Steps must be taken to ensure human control at all times over these technologies. In the military realm in 2018, the United States Defense Research Project, DARPA, put out a call for proposals to investigate the potential of non-surgical brain-machine interface to allow soldiers to interact regularly and intuitively with artificial intelligence, semi-autonomous and autonomous systems in a manner currently not possible with conventional interfaces, right? So 2018. So they've been talking about, once again, your mind's gonna move quicker a lot of times than your body because your mind is telling your limbs to move. So if you could do that militarily with just thinking about it, right? That's gonna be quicker. That's gonna be uh more devastating, right? And be able to take stuff out. So Doppler further highlighted the need for these interfaces to be bidirectional, which information is sent to both to the brain and the machine, neural recording, and from the machine to the brain, neural stimulation, which would eventually allow machines and humans to learn from each other, right? To a whole, different level, right? But the other thing is, we always have to be concerned about is other countries are doing this. They don't have the restrictions or the ethical efficacy we got, right? They're going to be testing those soldiers left and right, right? So that's going to make it more interesting in the future, right? So once again, we're talking about brain interfaces in your military. I just like that picture for some reason. I want to put it in there. Man. Shout out to me. Yeah. Once again, brain interface helmet, connecting, controlling flights, helicopters in the background, tanks. Can one man control all that, right? Are you smart enough to uh, move in multi-dimensional ways and control a whole, army behind you? Or a couple vehicles. We don't have to be a whole army, just a couple vehicles, right? So imagine having neural data of prisoners to know exactly what is for crime or influence nations. No, that is true. What influence some atmospheric gas? Shout out to that. Yeah, we need to figure out that last one. No, sorry. So yeah, that's all in the data, right? And what influences that? Is it what helps that? They build a cyborg. Facts in pieces. You're 100% correct. They are doing that in pieces. You are 100% correct. I'll drop the link if anybody want to come up in a little bit. We about wrapping it up on the end. Legal and ethical considerations. The flip side of this investment is the responsibility they will impose on risk and the vulnerabilities of technology, as well as legal and ethical considerations. Right? Who's in charge of it? What's going to happen? How is it going to move? Who's going to get sued if it don't work right? Right. That's all part of it. The primary risk will be for users to lose control of the technology, especially in the military context. Hence, a fail-safe feature is critical for humans to maintain ultimate control over decision making. Despite the potential benefits of symbiosis between humans and AI, users must have the unconditional possibility to override these technologies, and they should believe it's appropriate and necessary for them to do so, right? So that's it, right? They want to have the human make the, which I want to include this on the roadmap. Probably not, Jay. Probably not. The reason why I don't think IEEE would include it on the roadmap, for them, that part is the Bluetooth. I don't think they want to get into medical devices from IEEE like that. I think they're going to do it from a protocol and communication standpoint. Um, you start taking on a lot of liability when you do that, JM. I could be wrong, but you start taking on a lot of liability. So from that statement right there is the drone capability. Drone has machine learning, artificial intelligence. It has facial recognition, but a lot of times when a drone finds its target and it hits for facial recognition, it goes back to the command center for a human to actually pull the button, right? Facial recognition among non-black people, non-people color is pretty high, but they got to work that out. So if it says it's 95%, do you let the drone go ahead and delete the person, right? So that's where that comes in. So I was listening to the drone community talk about that from a military standpoint. It's important to give the significance of human control over targeting as well as strategic operation decision. An integral face safe in the brain machine interface may in fact allow for a greater degree of human control over the critical system Since the decision while AI may suggest a specific course of action, you must be able to decide in a timely manner where to shoot them. Uh, I don't think he said execute it or not. What's up, engineering Canada?
Hey, what's up, man?
No, try to do something different, man. Try to get off that KS stuff. Go ahead
but
and
no,
chime in on that, man. Go ahead and chime
but
in.
no, the technology is ahead of its time. It's
Facts.
because right now what we're doing in terms of the computer aspects, build using current statistical algorithms to basically teach the computer to behave like a human. This is the next step. The the goal now, because now we can build more advanced algorithms, because now we can fully map the brain out. We're collecting real time data from the brain's activities and creating real time models, real time mathematical models from the brain, from the data. So now we can create more complex and more real time models that can really then act like a human. So this is what it's coming to. How we can this, what I call this is the device that collects real human data.
Yeah.
This is the device. So
Yeah.
in any stage of basically data science, the first stage is defining the objectives. The next stage is collecting data. So right now, Elon Musk has defined the objective. How can we basically fully map out the brain and medical uses and all that? Now the next step is data collection, and he's going to use this device to collect as much data as he can and fully map out the brain, because nobody has currently fully mapped out the brain. Nobody knows how the brain fully functions. So we cannot mimic the human brain into a robot. But if we can fully map out how the brain works, how everything is structured, then we can then currently with that data mimic into the robotics. Then robotics, the robots then can really act as humans. Because right now we don't know how the human brain works. So the data right now is the crucial part. What kind of data are we gonna see? When the how the neurons are gonna be fired, when you maybe when you're eating and you're enjoying food, how your neurons fires, or when you're thinking about your wife or you're thinking about your children, how what neurons fires during that situation. All the actions and all that data is then collected and utilized, and that's where we're going into.
Right. Like I said, I think they're gonna right. Like you said, I think that's gonna be the natural extension on the metaverse, right? Because then, like you said, from a marketing standpoint, right, you can start looking at the pleasure centers in their brain to figure out if they're really like it instead of just looking at facial features. Uh, so I think that's all gonna roll into it. Let me read these couple quick lines. Considering opportunities brain machine interface may present in the realms of security and defense, multi-stakeholder discussions and the negotiation leading to development of standards must include the following considerations, right? So as we get into it, right, the government's going to want to regulate and put standards on it. So what degree of human control would be desirable at what stage and by whom? To what extent could human users be trusted with their own judgment and decision making, right? So we're talking about that from a drone standpoint, right? How much human control do you want, or do you want the drone to just go ahead through and what they're thinking of? And like my man Peter Investor says, I'm sure there's some drones in Ukraine doing a few things, at least from a reconnaissance, picking out high value targets and just following them or making decisions on what should happen to those drone targets. But the two is how much human control do you want that to be over, be be on, right? So shout out to Peter. So Elon's going to use a network of low orbits as well as complete. Oh, facts with that. I'm glad you brought that up. And who he owns Starlink, right? Two, if people don't realize, is Jeff Bezos is launching 1,000 satellites. He's going to start at the end of this year because he's trying to mimic Elon Musk low level satellites. So I don't think people realize we're going to have a ton of low level satellites in there, right? For communication and like Peter Investors just said, for other things too, right? So that's coming with that, right? How could algorithmic and human bias, the cybersecurity and vulnerability of these technology and quality data be factored in their decision. We know there are going to be human biases in there, right? We know there are going to be algorithmic problems like facial recognition. It was off 30% among people of color. So we know it's going to be out there. I think and engineering cannabis brought this up. I want to definitely give him credit. Is we need to get those algorithms on a blockchain so people can review them, so we can make sure there's no biases in there. We need to have people able to watch the test so we can add input to make sure there's no human bias in there, and hopefully no security vulnerabilities. The cool thing about open source people don't realize is it's free, and a lot of security professionals uh, do their doctorate and their investigation and try new techniques. They download that open source code and run through it and look at it. They have their test of their machine learning artificial run through code to try to find stuff. They look through there and try to find different ways to hack because it's open source. It's easily for people to review it, right? A lot of people think that's a negative. A lot of times it's a positive because you have hundreds of thousands of people that open up that code and look at it, right? And when I say 100,000 people, that's all the security people. It's way more than people on that, but it's only a certain group of people that do that type of analysis. But people all over the planet that use that. OpenSSL, right? That's used to do encryption on computers. That's looked at by tens of thousands of computer security goods people to make it good, right? So how can ethical and legal considerations be incorporated into the design stage of technology? I think the government, I don't know, I hate to pit on the government, but we need to have rules and regulations. And shut out, we need to have a office of brain or, ethical or artificial intelligence. We need to have a government agency rise to the level to be able to put rules and regulations in for that, right? For the ethical and legal considerations of brain interface, artificial intelligence, drone, all of that. There should be some kind of body that puts that in. I think NIST is trying to do it. Um, how can it be ensured that humans cannot be harmed in the process, either inadvertently or deliberately? I'm sure that's where testing comes in. That's where ethics come in. That's where big fines come in, right? If somebody gets hurt, right? All that's the finding of people, right? So, is there a need for a dedicated international forum or discussion of military applications of neural technology? I think so. How could these discussions be integrated into existing international process related to emergency military applications, technology group, convention of certain conventional weapons, groups of government experts on lethal autonomous weapon systems? Let me say that one more. Convention on certain conventional weapons, groups of governmental experts on lethal autonomous weapon systems, right? So there should be some kind of organization from an international. A lot of government's gonna, give them the middle finger, when you're in a conflict. But I think there should be some kind of base group so we can have some kind of Switzerland things of, what you should do in war and what you shouldn't be doing in neurotechnology when it's concerned with the brain, right? And two was from a society standpoint, is can you use that to make somebody smarter? Can you use that to make somebody more athletic? Can you use that to make a group of people, instead of naturally be more be smarter or something else? You could put this in there and enhance their intelligence, right? I'm sure that'll be the next level, right? So those are some of the things we need to figure out of what's happening, right? So I think those are the ethical considerations of things that's coming up. What's up, Engineer Cannabis? You there, Engineer Cannabis? I can't hear you. So I don't know if you're on mute. Oh, he went back down again. So yeah, so for us as a society, and two is I worry that we need to keep up, with that type of technology. We need to get in those artificial intelligence, brain computer interfaces, right? That's at the top of the game, right? Engineering cannabis, when you talk about artificial intelligence and machine learning, I think it's only 2% of people in there, 3%, right? So we need to make sure we're understanding those new technologies, understanding the ethical considerations, and making sure we have a few people that's getting in those fields. And what's up, Anders Tech 79, right? So I in my thing I talked about the good, the bad, and the ugly, right? The good is what we talked about, right? There's a lot of medical applications for it, right? That can help it out, right? You there, engineering cannabis? I don't know if it's me or you. Check one, check two. So,
Hey, can you hear me?
I can hear you now.
Okay, I had some problems. My computer just went off.
No, you
So,
good.
yeah, I was talking. It's the technology is advancing. It's
Right.
progressing, and we again the realm of data science, machine learning, and all that. It's also advancing rapidly,
Five.
and we don't have again a lot of people in that field. It's
Oh,
again, I I mean, I get calls every day about a machine learning engineering job, and when you tell them no, they feel so disappointed, like you kicked them somewhere you're not supposed to kick them. So that's what I'm saying. But again, the job market for machine learning engineer, data science is open, and in the field of medical science and automation and all that, it's huge. So
yeah.
again, what I'm going to say, even in the area of entrepreneurship, if you want to start your own stuff in marketing, I know a lot of data scientists that's going into marketing and making a killing in marketing, predicting human psychology in marketing. I know people who are in basketball who are doing analysis in basketball, predicting how to basically defeat Kobe, not Kobe, LeBron. The best way to beat LeBron. How can we the best way? I know a lot of data scientists do that. So the field of data science and machine learning is vast. Even in the stock market, how to predict a stock from going up or using statistical analysis, LSTM or CNN, to predict a stock, how a stock increases and all that is what's big right now. A lot of big financial firms are hiring data scientists and machine learning engineers just to predict stocks. This is what's going on. Musk knows the power of data. Now the question is, everybody's gathering the data, how to utilize that data to make a profit or make an advancement. And that's what Elon Musk is doing right now, utilizing data to do something great. And that's what we, even as African Americans, how can we tap into the new oil? The new oil is data. How can we tap into it?
No,
And
so
that's it. But
no, that's
nobody's talking about it. We're more interested in a lot of BS. A lot of BS coming on.
yeah,
People,
man.
people, people, people. I mean, what's going on now is, again, inflation. Inflation is 8.5% now. Imagine that. 8.5%. Your money is basically dwindling away. So your money is dwindling, and income your income isn't increasing, but your money is dwindling away if you're not in certain sectors.
True.
8.5%. Imagine that. So you fighting against inflation, you fighting against oil prices, you fighting your money is fighting every day. Shouldn't you be able to leverage what's in to help you fight these factors? Again, data science. I mean, they're begging people, and they starting you with 130, 120. This
No, that's
this
true.
is the beginning. So again, it's either you know what you're doing and shift, or you just stay where you are.
That's it. Let me read top. How can they choose what's ethical when we can't decide simple human and human ethics? That's a good point, Ty. I don't know, man. I think people are going to try to figure out what's ethical. A lot of times it's easier to do other things in between human and human to be honest, Ty. So I think they're going to try to once again come up with some international board to help people But then you always gonna have totalitarian regimes. I think they just do what they want to do. Japan has one of the most mass surveillance systems on the planet, so they get a lot of data just from that, right? So, but that is
Ch-
an excellent question, Pop.
China has a lot of data on
Facts.
individuals. They make everybody's an algorithm basically, and that's what companies are going to do now. Everybody's an algorithm.
That's why China's kind of getting ahead of us in the computer data race, because they have just they do those citizen dossiers if you're good citizens or not. So they got so much data on their population. Like you said, everybody's an algorithm in China, man. So they got a huge surplus because they got state data. So let's see. We need justices in the house. We need justice. Go ahead. How are you doing?
Greeting, Professor Black Ops
How are you
and
doing today?
gentlemen. I'm well. Thank you very much for letting me just come in. I wanted just to chime in on what the gentleman before me said, and I didn't get his name. I had to drop off for a call. But the biggest thing that is needed are more Black people to be in data science.
Yeah,
And
we
it's
trying, but go ahead. we trying. Go ahead.
We try.
and I will say the reason for that, and I'm a female data scientist, and I am Black, African American, and there is such a bias, a cultural bias that is already in play because you've got Amazon web services, things like that, that are being used to train the machines. And the people who are reviewing the data, they're looking at images, say pictures of people, and they're making determinations about the state of being of that person. So you could be looking at someone in a park and that person has a grimace on their face. So say if they're Black or they're Asian or whatever, depending on the culture of the person who's looking at that information, they will say, well, that Black man, he's a threat.
No,
That
facts.
Asian lady, the sun is just, too bright in her eyes, because it has a cultural bias to it, because the people who are accustomed to being told about cultural differences between Black and white in other countries are being the ones who are training these machines.
Oh, facts,
So
yeah.
that's putting a deficit on the Black community that we aren't even aware of. And I think when Amazon said that they were going to stop letting the law enforcement agencies use this information because they were mistakenly identifying people and targeting people.
Yep.
And that is one of the reasons behind that, is because you have people who are non-Blacks who have been taught to be culturally biased, not racist, but culturally biased, programming the machines and tagging photographs of people and putting adjectives and descriptors and adding metadata to that person's picture. So when that person's picture is in rotation, you're getting all kinds of misinformation about that individual. And it's real, and it's real time, and it's going on. And matter of fact, it's been going on for longer than we've been made aware of it being done. And so anything that is put up on Instagram, Twitter, all these things, we've got the Instagram models, the images that people are seeing about Black people, Black women in particular, and Black men is being fed to these machines.
Yeah,
And they're
you can
okay,
do.
so they're training robots. They're training like animal dogs. There's this company that has in Boston has fantastic robotic dogs. These dogs are being trained with this information, right? So if you are talking about something like the Terminator type thing, where somebody sends a robotic dog to attack somebody based on what they've been thought to think about that culture, we are at a deficit because of all of the things that we're doing to degrade ourselves. All this stuff is being fed to these machines.
And the thing is, YouTube and everything, machine learning, they just started implementing machine learning in 2016. So 7 years, that tool has been, just 7 years has been so powerful that, again, as she talked about, you can use, again, deep learning and all that to basically teach your algorithm to detect what black men like. So
Exactly.
I teach my algorithm that black men like certain female features. I'm going to feed that to my audience.
Hmm.
Or I teach my algorithm what black female audiences love in terms of physical characteristics and what they view more. I teach my algorithms to do that. And we don't feed the best of the best. We feed the worst of the worst because that's what's pleasurable. That's what's marketable. So the best of the best is not marketable. The worst of the worst. That's why you have Instagram
Hmm.
models. That's why you have
Exactly.
all this. Because we
Exactly.
market the worst of the worst. We feed the algorithms the worst of the worst. And this is how we do it. And again, I've studied this. I implement this. I've seen how it's done, and I marvel of it. YouTube hires psychologists just to get variables on everybody and see
Hmm.
which of which is better. Then those variables are then quantified and then fed to everybody. That's how YouTube, Facebook, and everybody sells their product. And since we don't have that knowledge as African Americans, we're not privy to know. We're privy to the knowledge. We know how the knowledge is everywhere. But since we are not interested in that knowledge, we are susceptible to the consequences of this knowledge. So anything that comes after it, if we are the product at the end of the day, is because we didn't study the actual mechanism behind it. We
But
left
we're
it,
feeding it. Yeah,
we're
we're
feeding it.
we're feeding it, and we're not going to be treated favorably because of what's being fed.
No,
Their junk is being fed, and it's going to show up on the community as a whole.
yes,
And I think, like, for myself, I'm not striving to be an Instagram model. I have a brain, I have a mind. I'm not saying that they don't have, but I'm not out there trying to push my physique in rotation, to get subscribed to or whatever. I don't have a what is it, OnlyFans or whatever kind of thing. So, but all whatever, whatever. So, but what these women don't realize is that all of this information at some point or another could be used against them for jobs.
Oh, it will
If
be.
they,
it's done now.
if
It
all of
will
that,
be.
because as an IT professional, I've also had access to human resources, and they look at that. They look at your email address. You send in. My email address is Big Boogaloo. Like, seriously, and you got this really nice resume, but your email address is Big Boogaloo because you're using your street persona to go and pursue a job. So all these things are being used to make a predetermination about the quality person that you're going to be to the company.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah.
Oh,
So I just think overall that I appreciate you. I've been listening to you for a while, Professor, and I just haven't had the opportunity to chime in.
I
But I
appreciate that.
really appreciate you doing that because we need to wake up. I can't tell you how many people complain about people being wealthy, but it's like we are the most consuming group of people. We have the greatest amount of money available to us, but we are the greatest consumers. And
Yeah, we
because
do.
we like to consume, therefore they sell to us and then they get rich off of our consumption, and then they go get the nice houses and the nice cars, and then you get mad because they don't want you in their neighborhood Okay. They don't want to associate with you, but you helped make them wealthy.
No, that's true. Real quick, we need just you. Can you see my screen? If you're pursuing an undergraduate in SCTLM with a master's degree, can you merge them into data scientist domain? I don't know what that degree is,
Can you
or
tell me what the S is that? Tell me what the SCTLM stands for, whoever posted that.
yeah, Courtney, we need you to. I thought maybe it was a data scientist term, so I was looking at both of y'all.
It
I'm like,
could be, but that's not a term that I'm familiar with.
are you familiar with that one, engineering cannabis?
No, SCTLM, that's a program, but I'm not familiar with that.
Yeah, Courtney, tell us what SCTLM, and we can comment on that. But no, like you said, you're 100% correct. So I just came. My channel is based about computer security and technology. I'm gonna let the other stuff on YouTube take care of itself. I'm just trying to focus on that, and I like to, especially when my man engineering cannabis in the house, to have people of color think about different jobs so they can get the bag, make the money, and hopefully live happily ever after. It's just, and like you said, now, especially since data scientists and the bias that's starting to leak into computers, I don't know if I would call it racism, but Ty, but it's close. When the 30%
It
of black
is.
men was getting misidentified with facial recognition, and one brother got locked
Yes.
up in Detroit unnecessarily, it's
But
real close to racism.
who are you
Go ahead.
gonna
Yeah,
blame?
it's different. It's really, really different because one of my challenges when I was in my cohort was is that my class was predominantly male. It was
Yeah.
predominantly different cultures, right? So I can think myself and one other lady were the only two black females in the class. Everybody else was of another ethnic group.
But again, the area of all this object detection and all that is based on people who build it. So if I'm collecting data and I'm white, I'm just going to be focusing on what my experiences are.
Thanks.
So in a team of 50 people and there's no black person in there, everybody's reference will be is what's my environment.
Hmm.
So now in object detection, nobody's going to say, "Hey, there's different kind of complexion in black. There's different kind of facial features in in terms of someone from Ghana to someone from Ethiopia. Their features are different. They're Egyptians that are Caucasians too. These topics are not discussed because again, the team is not diverse. Again, sometimes diverse teams is needed,
Right.
especially in research, in the area of research. Object
And that was
detection,
my pushback in class. I would hold them accountable. You know, like if they
yeah,
would come up with something that they had trained, like an NLP,
yeah,
and I'm thinking like that's a
machine learning,
bias. I'm like, no, it's not. No, it's not. I'm like, yes, it is. And let me explain
yeah.
to you why it is a bias. Okay. And so finally, my instructor took me to heart, and he says, "You're right, Patricia. We do have a bias." And I says, "I'm not calling you racist because it's not. It's what they've been taught. It's what they've been exposed to. This it's their experience, but it has the capacity to turn into racism."
And in NLP, do you know Ebonics is not part of an NLP program in
Oh,
theory?
one of my classmates tried to do that, and I thought like I was against it, and I would say why I'm against it is that because if
Um,
they were teaching African languages, doing that for programming, fine, foreign languages, things like that, but something that has the propensity to be another mark against us, to be used against us, if
no,
it's going to be something that's broadly accepted
I
as
think it's
okay, but
important because again, NLP is not only utilized in social but in medical terms. When someone is complaining medically, who's of African and talks in terms of again, I'm looking into designing a telehealth system. When someone is complaining about their symptoms, and if it's
mhm,
in Ebonics, you really need that to be relayed. So
Mm.
you shouldn't only look at it in terms of the social aspect. Look at it in terms of medical. Look at it in terms of other aspects. The medical application,
I
Ebonics
can
might
accept
be
what you're
important.
saying. I can accept what you're saying because that would be like a slang or
Yeah,
a vernacular.
like
I think it's the phrase
diabetes,
ebonics.
sugar, like
Yeah,
diabetes, sugar.
exactly.
So
But
something like that.
it's the term ebonics
I'm
that
with
for
you.
me is not
I'm with you. I'm with
appealing.
you. Yeah, I'm with you on that. It's
Okay,
something about that that
but
sticks in my craw. I'm with you. Go ahead.
if you I don't have a problem with the slang or the vernacular. Say, this is a difference of a vernacular, an African vernacular. This is how African, say
Yeah.
this and this and this. I don't have a problem with that. Phrase ebonics is a trigger.
Oh, yeah. Well, again, for instance, I'm African, and in other terms other than English, I speak Pidgin English. It might be considered Ebonics, but I speak Pidgin English, which also
No,
I think,
it's considered pigeon, but I'm just saying ebonics in America
right,
is something that is looked at as
as well,
derogatory by a lot of people. And so I'm just
Facts.
saying is that, to be palatable for anybody, to say,
it's
okay, let's incorporate this. Take your program and we're going to incorporate this into the Harvard Medical School, right? It would,
it,
to me, it
it
would be
it be
more appealing
discouraging.
if it wasn't called ebonics.
Okay, it would be, yeah. Forget the term Ebonics. Just
Okay.
another form of speaking in terms of within the African community, African American community.
Hmm.
That is useful in terms of again medical approach,
Facts.
in terms of any kind of services. We don't want to limit the language barrier, especially within the area of AI. We want it to be as broad as possible, to be
I
inclusive.
support you in that. I support you in that, and would love, love, love to know more about it as you progress or whatever. But just the phrase is all I'm saying is that if you
Yeah,
could just
the
No,
pick a
phrase, yeah,
different phrase
I know that's fine.
so that it would become something that would be universally appealing.
because
No, it's
recently, even in the medical
words
approach,
matter.
in the medical approach, recently, I was looking into object detection algorithm that looks into skin color in terms of
Hmm.
diagnosing diseases with skin color. Every
Hmm.
medical textbook is utilizes only Caucasian skin.
Hmm.
So that data for black skin is rare.
Mm.
So now how am I gonna teach my algorithm to identify skin diseases in African American when I don't have sufficient data to do it. Again, we train the algorithm to recognize through accumulative data we have. If we don't have accumulative data of black skin with certain diseases, we only reference white skin. That's a problem. This is
Hmm.
where the biases come into play.
Facts,
And this is
facts.
where the algorithms I'm looking into have to change. And this is where that's why I'm saying we need more African American people in this area because this
Facts.
area is now advancing in a rapid rate in every sector. In law,
And nobody's checking them.
nobody's
Nobody
checking
is not regulated.
at all.
Nobody's checking them,
Facts,
and this
facts.
stuff is being fed into
Banking, law,
programs, all kinds of things. So I've been
education.
seeing people who have been going to the bank and being told, you can't cash this check here, and I think it's something that's facial recognition kind of thing, you know.
Yeah,
And
education.
these people have the money. People have the money, but it's
Mhm.
like you walk into the bank and that facial recognition is installed in the bank, and it's and you're dressed a certain way, and it's thinking like this dude doesn't have money, and if he's got a check, you need to flag it. It's been happening to a lot of rappers, a
Well,
lot of
Kugler,
rappers, and
the Kugler just did Black Panther. They escorted him out the bank and they called the
yeah,
police on him. That was
and
Kugler.
and
So
but why? Because I'm pretty
we
sure
know
that there
why.
was some type of profiling,
You know.
system in place, installed in the bank,
Yep.
and so it's just like I don't know. I can't say it any differently than is that we don't just need like um somebody in there to say, okay, you can't do this and you can't do that. We
What
need
we need,
somebody in there that's going to hold people accountable.
we need somebody who,
for their biases.
yeah, we need someone who understands, because again, nobody's asking that question. Again, education. Imagine education. I was looking into this algorithm to design where I can predict your success rate in Yale based on what? Your background, your
Mhm.
financial, but why? Where you're from, your location. Why should I predict your success rate based on your background? Why is that? Is that really truly an indicator?
I
Is
know.
your living and is you living in LA, in the worst part of LA, an indicator of your success rate in Yale? Shouldn't your drive be a success rate? These are algorithms that are designing right now to predict your admission into great universities.
You
True.
know, I would say this is that my instructors said to me, like, Patricia, you should be leading a team of data science engineers. Even though you know how to be a data scientist, like you should be leading based on the knowledge and the experience that you have, because you bring to the table something that a lot of us don't think about in terms of how we perceive and how we program and how we train
Yes.
the data.
Yes.
And I said to him, I said, I could do that. I could do that. Honestly, I could do that. But my issue is that I encounter so many people who will not perform.
There's so much pushback.
They will not perform. They will not perform. There's hand holding. There's this thing of, well, I'm going to wait to the last minute to do what I need to do. So who is it going to fall back on? The person who's leading the team. And
And see,
I'm not that person. I'm
and
not that
ethics,
person. You're not. And so, I want to do it, but I don't have the capacity to put up with people coming to work and not performing.
and ethics is not accountable. Remember, ethics is not. We're not able to quantify ethics, and ethics is not accountable. So there are no laws to account for biases till it has a negative effect on you. Then we can say what's happening. Unless that happens, that's when ethics is basically considered. But now every algorithm is led to run amok in finance, in
That's
education,
true.
in law,
Wild
in
Wild West.
HR. Right now, I can use an algorithm to predict who's the best performer, and then use that best performer to find out and based on all your resume who's going to mimic the best performer,
Mm.
and
No,
that
it's
can
Mhm.
and that could be what that could be
oh,
colored.
oh,
That
it's
Because
pattern.
people lie on their resumes.
It's pattern
People
matching
lie on
too.
their
Everybody,
resumes.
everybody's looking for the next Mark Zuckerberg. Look at that statement though. That it stands for supply chain
Oh,
transportation.
okay. Oh,
So
heck
she,
yes.
yeah,
Heck
you can
yes.
go ahead.
Heck yes.
We need
Heck
justice. Go
yes.
first.
Yeah,
That's it. No, no. I just got excited when I saw what it meant. Like, heck
supply
yes.
chain. Yeah,
You
Yeah,
better,
yeah.
you better, you better do that.
I actually,
You have no idea.
yeah,
facts.
Like right now, they're moving away from petrol cars and
yeah.
trucks, and they're going into EV. If
Facts.
you take that and you marry that with data science, you are so bankable. You
And
are so marketable. You don't even have to finish your master's.
true.
Put it on your resume and say that you are pursuing your master's. Somebody will snatch you up and pay for your master's.
And that's the truth because I was doing my second master's in supply chain. I was almost finished with one more semester. I left, but she's saying the truth. I almost had I have courses in supply chain and logistics and all that. And again, companies like what's the name, Harry Steeder, Amazon, they will hire you to predict again how logistics, human logistics, their product logistics, how everything flows and all that, and
Facts.
Okay.
predict basically from how the people receive their home packages, everything. Because I've looked into algorithms in terms of all that. So yes, that is you marry that with data science, you are
Yes.
bankable. Learn machine
Yes.
learning and you bankable.
And
Engineering
I hope
campus.
you're on
Somebody.
LinkedIn. I hope you're
Oh,
on LinkedIn. I was just saying to whoever that is, I hope that they're on LinkedIn. And they should add that into their title on LinkedIn and put down there that they are pursuing their master's in data science. Okay. And at the same time, change in your LinkedIn description, add in data science. Add data science. Make sure you put data science into your summary on LinkedIn, and add that you are pursuing your master's in data science and that you are an undergrad with supply chain and logistics management. It will change your world. It will change your world. I'm so proud of you. Whoever you are, I'm proud of you for that.
Yeah,
Shout out
it
to that.
helps. Yeah,
Thank
yeah.
you. Thank
And
you. Thank you, Black Ops.
you
I'm
welcome.
gonna drop off, and you
Okay.
guys, thank you. It's a great show. Thank you so much for letting me contribute. I appreciate it.
Okay. Come
And please
back.
subscribe to my channel. I'm working on my channel. Please,
Hey.
it's
Hey.
I'm advocating for Black men. So please,
Hey. Hey. Drop your channel in the chat. I'm agree. Make you a mod if I can find your name. Um,
if I can figure out how to do that
Well, just shout out your
without,
channel. Just whatever. Just say
we
your
need
channel.
justice. I think I put it. I'm trying to do the chat piece in there.
Okay.
But I put some comments inside of the chat, the live chat,
Okay.
and I think if they click on that, it'll take them to my channel.
Everybody go
If I'm not,
subscribe. Yeah, everybody go subscribe to We Need Justice. Go check her out. She's doing big things. I'm definitely
I
gonna
don't have
subscribe.
anything about data science over there. I am strictly trying to help abused Black men have a
Okay.
voice. That's my focus. Black men and Black boys to
Okay.
have a voice.
Well, that's cool too. Go subscribe. We'll come check you out and come back because we're gonna start talking me, you, engineering cannabis, B2B before the billions. They all data scientists, so we probably have a confab on that.
I'll do that. Please
All
invite
right.
me or whatever.
Okay.
I'll add you to my channel. I'll put you on feature on my channel.
I appreciate that.
All right. Thank you. Take care.
You're welcome. Engineering
All right.
cannabis, do you do one-on-ones? Consulting, somebody asking that question.
Do I do other ones? I don't know. No, no. The reason I don't, I help people, so I don't consult for money because that's another stuff I'm trying not to do right now. So
Yeah,
no, but I do help. So just put your email. We can talk because I recently helped somebody go into the data analyst
yeah.
side.
But
So yeah, I can help. But
that's my
do
theory. I talk to people one on one. If you need career advice, I send you to Black Heights,
yeah,
Textual Chatter. There's
I
other
can help.
guys that do that.
I can help you, but I don't
Yeah.
collect money right now.
If you,
I'm not looking into that right now.
yeah, if you
I
need,
can help you, but just put your email. We can talk.
yeah, that's me.
That's it.
Like if you need to ask PBO a question, you want to chat up, but I don't give specific career. Black Heights is doing that.
Yeah,
Textual Chatter. If you want to get in cybersecurity, Tech G,
yeah.
keep it techie. There's a lot of guys out there that do that.
If you want to go into data, I can help. I can tell you my experiences and tell you how
Bias.
to guide you through what I've done. And
Yeah.
I recently even got a new position where they promoted me to not senior, but a subject matter expert. So in data science, so apparently now I'm a subject matter expert.
Shout out to you. Congratulations.
Yeah,
Supply chain equals chips. Yeah, for chips, definitely.
yeah. For chips, it's crazy knowing
Yeah.
knowing even the manufacturing side, implementing manufacturing logistics with real time logistics. That's huge.
Yeah, I didn't think about that. Okay, Courtney, glad to help. Like I said, reach out to her. I think she can help you. Engineering cannabis can, but yeah, that's just a super hot field. So I think that's about it for me. Uh, so I think I'm going to shut it down. Engineering cannabis. I've been going for an hour and a half. I'm gonna give you the last word, and we're gonna shut it on down. I'm tired. What you want
Yeah,
to end over?
thanks for the PBO for doing this stream because this stream is needed. We each year this area is increasing in terms of advances, in terms of monetary, in terms of finance. But we as black people are not increasing in terms of people doing this field. And that's sad. Because again, this is where the money is. Stock market, marketing. People who love marketing, this is where it is. If you love people who love to do the stock market, option trading, all this, people use machine learning to predict all that. People who love doing different aspects, this is where it's moving into automotive. If you love cars, Soon your cars will be predicting your driving patterns and all that.
Facts, facts.
People who do a lot of stuff. This is where it's going. Your Siri. This is data science. Everybody who loves to talk about, hey Siri, open up this for me. This is data science. So this is where it's going. So please, people should start looking into it. I know cybersecurity is the hot field. Yep. Even cybersecurity utilizes this.
Oh yeah, as we say, machine learning. If you look at guard duty and threat or not, they using machine learning to help you figure out the bad guys in your network because they're using historical data for that.
But people don't want to, because again, people think it's the most complicated, but it's not. Statistics. You learn statistics. You learn machine learning. Maybe the harder aspects of it, like deep learning and reinforcement learning, is difficult. But everybody right now. Every company is just focused on the machine learning part.
Yeah.
So please learn this. It's in every way. It's in law. It's in accounting. It's in finance. It's in your banking. It's in education. I just explained the education. So please, please, let's have more people in this field. It's lucrative, but it's also right now I'm working on projects, designing stuff that sometimes I'm working on cannabis projects, farming projects, working on projects, even security. I'm looking at designing physical security using machine learning. So this is where it's going. So please, if you can imagine if you can use machine learning to do cybersecurity and look at all the pitfalls, can't you use machine learning to know where your physical security is lacking to?
Yeah, they're already
Same
doing that.
concept.
Yeah, AWS is already doing it. I'll probably do another stream on that. They got it built in because, like you said, they got so many data points because all the companies out there. So that's what they're trying to figure out.
Same concept. They,
Yeah,
they define the radius of your whole building and then use the data and say where are the weak points in your area. And even with data from police reports, with all the criminal activities, they even know what high percentage of crimes there's are committed and put that into the machine learning algorithm to know how to protect your property. This is where it's going into. I understand this because I continually read on this every day. This is my bread and butter. So please, let's have more people in this field, young, old. Let's have more African Americans in this field because we will soon be the product. If this is not what we learn, we will be the product. And don't get me wrong, how if to make $1 billion, I'll sell my skills to do that product any day. And if am I ethically bound to it? I gotta go talk to a lawyer. But I gotta make everybody's pursuing the bag. Me, I want the bag too.
facts, man. You actually getting a bag. Everybody talking about. See that comment Will just put in there. What modules or courses can he start with? He would prefer self study because it's cheaper as a device. What's
Self
your take?
studies, start with statistics. Learn statistics. That's what I always say. Learn statistics. Once you get the grasp of statistics, most machine learning algorithms, I'm going to give you the secret, utilize a linear equation, y equals mx plus b. Most predictive algorithms in most companies utilize ymx plus b, most, to solve most problems. But learn statistics, learn standard deviation, p-value, learn statistics, learn that well, then move into machine learning. And once you move it, it becomes so easy to learn it. Learn statistics, learn Python program, and you're good to go. And that's the entry point. And the company will teach you more.
Facts. You got a public email, somebody can get in contact
Um,
with you.
Number 180 cannabis at gmail.com. So I'll probably just put it on the chat
Yeah, drop it in the chat. Drop it in
yeah.
the chat.
So that's my email. That was my email. So, but again, we just need to have a lot of people in this field. This There's a lot of money. There's a lot of, and again, most startups are in this field, either in blockchain or machine learning. Most
Nice.
startups, most startups are either in blockchain or machine learning. I know that for a fact. Most medical startups are looking for ways to utilize machine learning to predict heart attacks, cancer, lung disease. These are what most medical are looking into. Telehealth, they're using machine learning and blockchain. So again, get in the field. This is where it is. I'm preaching, but at one point the preaching will stop. And data engineering is great. Data engineering is a field that supports data science. It basically takes all the data and builds a pipeline so we can then analyze that data. So data engineering is as important as data science. Building that pipeline for the data part. So data engineering is important too. So anything big data, this is where it is. So
Thanks, man.
we just need to get into it and stop playing around.
No, that's true.
KS is not going to save you most of the time, man.
Facts. Yeah, Black Dub, me and before the billions are going to do a stream on data engineering. I've been studying for my AWS certification. So a part of that stream, I'm gonna walk through a data lake setup for AWS, and from a cybersecurity, how should you lock that down? And like engineering cannabis, how do I get the data? How do I set it up in the data lake? And I'm also going to feed the data lake into a data warehouse that's optimized so you can run through a billion rows in like an hour. So I keep saying that B2B keeps putting pressure. As engineering cannabis say, when you got a lot of work, sometimes my time is short, but that's actually in my pipeline. I did a old tier 3-tier setup for AWS. I'm about to do Beanstalk, and after Beanstalk, I'm gonna do a data lake. How you feed the data lake, how you get data in there, how do you use AWS Athena to read through your flat files like it's a database.
Mm-hmm.
Then, as you find your data, it can actually populate a data warehouse that's optimized for a certain data concept. And like engineering cannabis, you can use the data warehouse to get the machine learning data out there to feed it into the machine learning. So that's really the flow through. So me and B2B E26. So we're gonna actually walk through that. For it helps me understand AWS and the parts of really setting up something viable in AWS and securing and actually going through a real world scenario. So that's actually on my timeline. Black Dove 21, but that probably is gonna be next month. Like I said, I got to do the Beanstalk, then I'm gonna flow into that data engineering for my data lake. Then we probably like engineering cannabis say data lake into the data warehouse, then have the data warehouse feed into the machine learning, because then you have the data into a recognizable format. Then he could feed that right into the
all that I don't want to deal with all that pipeline.
Yeah, I'm a pipeline. I did that for 15 years at DOD. We used to pay soldiers, so we had to get the files, clean it up, figure out which brack or camp you need to send it into. So I've been doing that forever. So so
pipeline
B2B was cited, so we're gonna chop that up.
I prefer taking the data and making meaning to that. Pipeline, I go crazy. My mind's still wrapping on algorithms. I really don't want to wrap my mind on pipelines right now.
Pipeline is a different beast, man. I'm about to shut it down, man. We go for hour 45. I always appreciate when you come up, bro.
No problem, man. I got you. All
right, man. Everybody have a good day. I'm sure I'm gonna see you in the UT streets. I work at a government facility, so we off for Good Friday tomorrow. So you'll see me again tomorrow. Everybody have a great day. I'm out.